Your bank app isn't just showing a number, it's pressing its thumb into your brain. You wake up, phone in hand, and before your eyes even focus, you're checking notifications like a lab rat checking the lever. Email, messages, a reminder about a bill, another reminder about the reminder. And then you do the thing you pretend you don't do. You open your banking app like touching a sawtooth with your tongue. That tight feeling in your chest isn't lack of discipline. It's your nervous system doing emergency math with broken pencils. It's your body hearing a low, constant alarm. Not enough, not enough, not enough. And I'm going to say the quiet part out loud. Being broke doesn't just empty your wallet. It edits your personality. It rewrites what you think is possible. It changes how smart you can be on a Tuesday afternoon. Not because you're weak, because scarcity is a drug. And it doesn't ask your permission. You've been fed the same cheap sermon from the same shiny mouths. If you're poor, it's your fault. If you hustle harder, you win. That whole industry survives by turning your rent into a morality play. They need you to believe your financial pain is proof of your personal failure, because that shame makes you buy their solutions. It's the oldest trick in the marketplace. Sell the wound, then sell the bandage, then blame you for bleeding. So let's do something rare. Let's take the blame off your back for a second. If you've been broke or close to it, your brain has been running in survival mode. Survival mode is not lazy. It's not stupid. It's efficient. A body under threat doesn't sit down and write a 5-year plan. It doesn't daydream. It doesn't find its passion. It scans for danger, grabs what it can, and tries to make it to next week. Scarcity isn't only about money. It's a mental climate. It's living inside a room where the ceiling is slowly lowering, and every thought you have is forced to duck. That's why your attention feels shredded. That's why you can't just focus. That's why you feel like your brain used to be a wide open field, and now it's a cramped hallway with boxes stacked to the roof. Here's what scarcity does. It narrows the lens. You've probably noticed it without naming it. When money gets tight, your mind becomes a tunnel. A tunnel is good for one thing, moving forward. A tunnel is terrible for seeing options. You can call this stress, but that word is too clean. Stress sounds like a busy calendar and a cute candle. This is more like your thoughts becoming a crowded bus, and every new problem gets on at the next stop. And there are no empty seats left for creativity. Picture this. You're at the grocery store, under fluorescent lights that make everything look slightly sick. You've got a basket with 3 normal items and 5 survival items. You do the math in your head because you don't trust the total. You keep a running calculator like a background app. Eggs, rice, soap, that one thing you need but can't justify. Someone behind you is casually tossing snacks onto the belt, like money is air. You feel your jaw tighten. You put something back just for now, like you're borrowing from your future self. That moment isn't about willpower. It's about bandwidth. When your brain is constantly budgeting, it loses space for everything else. Not metaphorically, functionally. Research suggests that scarcity consumes working memory, the mental scratch pad you use to solve problems, plan, and control impulses. So when money is tight, your mind is busy doing micro-triage all day. Which bill can wait? Which friend can get a late reply? Which pain in your body is serious, and which one is ignore? That's not a character flaw, that's cognitive load. Self-help likes to scream mindset like it's a magic spell. But mindset isn't floating in the clouds. Mindset sits inside a nervous system with hormones, sleep debt, and a stomach that hasn't relaxed in weeks. Being broke forces your brain to prioritize the present, not because you're irresponsible, because the future starts to feel like a luxury product. There's a concept psychologists talk about, hyperbolic discounting. Basically the brain's tendency to value immediate rewards way more than future rewards, especially under pressure. Scarcity cranks that tendency up like a volume knob. When you're stable, you can wait. When you're unstable, waiting feels like gambling with your life. So the advice, just delay gratification, becomes a cruel joke. Delay gratification to what? To a future you can't emotionally trust? You don't trust the future because the past has been unreliable. Bills came out of nowhere. A small emergency turned into a month of panic. A job promised hours and cut them. A landlord raised rent like it was a hobby. Your brain learns patterns, and the pattern it learns under poverty is simple. Security is not guaranteed, so you become vigilant. Vigilance is expensive, It costs sleep, it costs patience, it costs imagination. And yes, imagination, because imagination requires slack. It requires extra mental room to play with possibilities that aren't immediately useful. Scarcity makes your inner world feel like a phone on 2% battery. You stop exploring apps. You stop taking photos. You stop updating anything. You just keep the screen on long enough to find a charger. People who haven't lived it love to say, "Money doesn't buy happiness." That sentence is technically true and practically useless. Money doesn't buy happiness the way water doesn't buy life. But try living without it and see how philosophical you feel. Now here's the part the hustle prophets avoid, because it ruins their business model. Poverty is not only a financial condition, it's a cognitive tax. And a tax is something you pay whether you agree or not. You felt that tax when you try to learn something new, and your mind keeps snapping back to the same worries like a rubber band. You felt it when you read the same paragraph 3 times and still can't absorb it. You felt it when you tell yourself you'll apply for better jobs, but your body treats the application like walking into a storm with a paper umbrella. Because the broke brain isn't just sad, it's busy. It's late. The city outside your window is quiet in the way that makes your thoughts louder. Your laptop is open. You're trying to do something responsible. Job applications, taxes, budgeting, some adult ritual. But your inbox has 20 unread messages, your phone keeps lighting up, and your brain is moving like it's wading through wet cement. You click between tabs like you're looking for a door in a burning building. A friend sends you a meme. You laugh, then feel guilty for laughing. You scroll for just a minute because your body wants relief. An hour disappears. Now you hate yourself, as if hate has ever paid a bill. That's not laziness. That's regulation. Doomscrolling isn't always about being weak. Sometimes it's your brain begging for anesthesia, cheap, immediate anesthesia. And the more scarcity you live in, the more your brain gets trained to chase immediate relief. Because immediate relief becomes the only thing that feels real. This is where the self-help lie gets especially nasty. They tell you your choices created your poverty, but poverty also creates your choices. It shapes your decision-making environment. It makes every choice heavier. It turns normal life into a series of high-stakes bets. And eventually your brain starts to avoid choices altogether because every choice feels like it could be the wrong one. That's not victim mentality. That's learned caution. You can't confidence your way out of a system that keeps moving the floor. You can't affirmation your way out of a rent increase. You can't gratitude your way into stable healthcare. You can't morning routine your way out of a job market that treats humans like disposable batteries. And I need you to hear this without flinching. The culture that blames you for being broke is the same culture that profits from you being broke. Not as a hidden cabal, as incentives, as the machine, rent, debt, ads, algorithmic attention traps, and 1,000 little fees that punish you for not having extra. Overdraft fees are literally a fine for not having enough money. Late fees are a surcharge on being human. Interest is patience sold to the desperate, and then they have the nerve to call you irresponsible. When you live like this long enough, something deeper happens. Scarcity becomes identity. You stop saying, "I'm low on money." Your body starts saying, "I am low." Low energy, low worth, low expectations. You begin to act like the future is a party you weren't invited to. So you don't dress for it, you don't plan for it, you don't even look at it directly. And here's the trapdoor. Sometimes the broke brain starts to fear abundance, not because it hates comfort, but because comfort feels unfamiliar. A calm week can feel suspicious. Extra money can feel like it's about to get taken away. You spend it fast, not out of stupidity, but out of old training. Use it before it disappears. Scarcity teaches you that good things are temporary, so you consume them like a starving person, even when it's finally safe. This is the first punchy truth you need to swallow whole. You can't think your way out of scarcity if your body still believes it's under threat. A better mindset on top of a dysregulated nervous system is like painting a house that's actively on fire. The paint isn't the issue, the heat is. When people say, "Why don't you just budget?" they're imagining budgeting as a calm spreadsheet with soothing colors. But for a broke brain, budgeting is opening a window and letting cold air into every room. It's confronting reality with no padding. So the brain resists, not because it loves chaos, but because it's protecting you from panic. And when you're constantly protecting yourself from panic, you lose the ability to plan with clarity. That's the cruelty. Poverty doesn't only limit your options outside you, it limits your options inside you. Now listen closely, because this is where it gets uncomfortable in a different way. There are people who have money and still live like they're broke in their heads. They hoard, they obsess, they check investments like you check your balance. They never feel safe. Because the real enemy isn't the number. It's the relationship your nervous system has with uncertainty. Scarcity is contagious. It can be passed down like a family recipe nobody wants. So what's the way out that isn't cheesy? Not a miracle, not a mantra. Shifts that respect biology. First shift, stop treating your brain like an employee and start treating it like an animal. An animal doesn't respond to lectures, it responds to environment. If your phone is the slot machine in your pocket, don't try to be stronger than $1 billion attention industry. Change the room the animal lives in. Make it harder for the panic loop to get fed. If you wake up and immediately check your bank balance, you're training your day to begin in threat. So build a small buffer between waking and numbers. Not positivity, buffer. Maybe the first thing you touch is water. Maybe it's a window. Maybe it's standing up and letting your eyes see distance for 10 seconds. Something that tells your body we are here, and we are not being hunted this second. Because once your body believes the room is safe, your brain can borrow back some bandwidth. Second shift. Create closed loops so your mind doesn't run unpaid background processes all day. A broke brain keeps 50 tabs open. Rent, food, that friend you owe, that email you're afraid to open, that subscription you forgot, that late fee you can feel approaching like footsteps behind you. Open loops steal sleep and attention. You don't need a perfect plan, you need fewer ghosts. Pick one financial task that your brain keeps circling like a bad song, and shrink it. Not with inspirational energy, with containment. A single note in your phone that says, bill due, date, amount, next action. One place, one container. So your brain stops re-remembering it every hour like it's trying to keep a candle lit in wind. This is not productivity worship. This is nervous system hygiene. You're reducing the internal noise so you can hear your own thoughts again. Third shift. Rebuild imagination the way you rebuild muscle. Tiny reps, not grand visions. The broke brain hates big dreams because big dreams feel like a setup. So stop trying to visualize a life that feels fake. Instead, practice micro-futures. Not, where will I be in 5 years? But what would make next week 5% less brutal? That's a future your nervous system can accept without laughing at you. It might be moving one bill to autopay so it stops ambushing you. It might be asking your boss for consistent hours. It might be canceling the subscription you keep forgetting. It might be setting a calendar reminder that saves you from a late fee. Tiny reps teach your brain a new pattern. The future can be influenced, not controlled, influenced. And that's how agency returns, not like a movie scene, like a slow thaw. Now here's the second punchy truth, and it's going to feel personal because it is. A lot of self-help isn't designed to help you. It's designed to keep you emotionally employed, always working on yourself, always optimizing, always fixing. So you never get the dangerous idea that maybe you don't need fixing as much as you need stability. They keep you on a treadmill made of guilt because guilt is predictable revenue. If you're always one mindset shift away, then you're never allowed to be angry at the real incentives. Wages that don't match rent, systems that punish small mistakes, algorithms that sell you fantasies while your fridge is empty. They call it empowerment, but it's just privatized blame. You don't need another guru, you need your brain back. That's the whole thesis. Stripped of decoration, being broke rewires you toward the present, toward threat, toward narrowness. It reduces bandwidth, shrinks imagination, and makes normal life feel like it's happening on hard mode. Not because you're defective, because your brain is adapting to an environment that keeps demanding more than it gives. And if you've been carrying shame like it's your personality, you can put it down. Shame is a fake receipt. It proves nothing except that you've been blamed too long. You can still build a life from inside scarcity, but the first brick is telling the truth. Your brain has been doing what brains do under pressure. The real flex isn't pretending you're unaffected. The real flex is learning how you were shaped, so you can choose which parts you keep. So here's the question that will tell you exactly where scarcity lives in you. What's one thing you do the moment you feel financially unsafe? One habit, one app, one purchase, one avoidance, and what does it give you for 10 minutes that your life isn't giving you right now?